Have you ever stopped to think that some foods that are part of your daily routine, those that you consume almost automatically, without guilt, without fear, thinking you're doing the right thing, maybe raising your glucose right now, even if you believe you're eating well? This question may sound uncomfortable, but it is extremely important, especially if you live with diabetes or care for someone who faces this challenge every day. Often, the problem is not in what seems obvious, but precisely in what we have learned to see as normal. When it comes to diabetes, many people associate controlling the disease only with cutting out visible sugar, sweets, desserts, soft drinks, and chocolates. And yes, they really do have an impact. But the truth is that blood glucose control goes far beyond that. There are common foods present at breakfast, lunch, afternoon snack, and even dinner that don't taste sweet, don't raise suspicions, and yet cause significant spikes in blood sugar. Have you ever experienced this? Have you ever followed the diet perfectly, thought you were doing everything right, and yet were surprised by a high glucose reading? If this has ever happened to you, stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover might truly surprise you. Correct information, when it arrives at the right time, has the power to change decisions, habits, and even results that seemed out of control. Living with diabetes isn't simple. It's a daily journey of choices, doubts, attempts, and constant adjustments. And, in the midst of all this, it's very common to feel confused, frustrated, or even discouraged when the numbers don't respond as expected. Perhaps you've already received different advice from different people. One says to cut everything out, another says it's not quite like that. One defends a certain type of diet, another condemns it completely. This creates insecurity and makes many people wonder, so, what can I eat? Or where am I going wrong? And the answer, often, isn't in the quantity of food, but in the type of food that seems harmless but directly impacts blood glucose. That's exactly why this video exists. Today you'll learn about the top 10 foods that diabetics should avoid. Not because of fads, not because of assumptions, but because of the real impact they have on the body. And it's important to say right away, the last one on the list is the most dangerous of all, precisely because it goes unnoticed by most people. It doesn't attract attention. It doesn't seem like a villain, but it's present in far more places than you imagine. Before we continue, it's essential to make something very clear. This content is not about fear, food terrorism, or guilt. No one here is pointing fingers or saying you did something wrong. On the contrary, this video is about awareness, responsibility, and the power of choice. Living with diabetes already brings enough challenges, and the last thing anyone needs is to feel guilty for not having had access to the correct information in the past. The right information changes everything. It changes decisions, changes routines, and changes results. This list is based on guidelines widely used by healthcare professionals and the real impact of these foods on blood glucose levels in everyday life. We're not just talking about theory, but about what really happens in the body when certain foods are consumed. The goal here is to translate this knowledge in a simple, clear, and practical way so that you can understand, recognize, and, above all, make more conscious choices in your diet. Many people are surprised to discover that not all sugar is visible. This is one of the most important points when we talk about diabetes. There are foods that don't have sugar in appearance, taste, or even on the label. But after being consumed, they quickly turn into glucose inside the body. And that's where the danger lies. These foods cause silent glycemic spikes, which are often only noticed when the test shows a higher number than expected. Have you ever wondered why, even avoiding sweets, your blood sugar still rises? Have you ever considered that the problem may not be the sugar you see, but the sugar your body produces from certain foods? This change of perspective is fundamental for anyone who really wants to understand diabetes and have more control over it. Throughout this video, you will realize that many of the foods mentioned are part of the routine of millions of people. They are on family tables, in restaurants, in advertisements, in common diets, and even in versions labeled as healthy. And that's exactly what makes them so dangerous: normalization. When something is normalized, we stop questioning it. While you watch, it's worth reflecting which of these foods are present in your daily life today. Which ones do you consume frequently thinking they're harmless? This reflection isn't meant to generate fear, but awareness. Because from the moment you understand the real impact of certain foods on your blood sugar, you regain control of your choices. Perhaps at some point in the video, you'll think, "But I've been eating this forever, or everyone eats this." And that's true. The problem isn't you. The problem is the lack of clear and accessible information about how these foods affect people with diabetes. For a long time, the focus has been only on the obvious sugar, while other villains went unnoticed. And that's exactly what we're going to change here. This video is designed to open your eyes, broaden your vision, and help you see food in a more strategic way. It's not about eliminating everything at once, nor about living in constant restriction, but about understanding what really hinders glycemic control and why. What you're about to see starts with foods that many people already suspect, but moves on to others that almost no one imagines. And as we move down the list, the level of attention needs to increase, because the last items are the ones that deceive the most, the ones that hide the most, and the ones that most harm diabetes, control without making a sound. So, if you really want to understand which foods might be sabotaging your blood sugar, why they have such an impact, how this reflects in your life is cheeky with me. What follows may change the way you look at your diet, and perhaps even at foods that today seem completely harmless. Food number 10, soft drinks and sugary beverages. Now let's start getting into the foods that deserve extra attention. And the first one is already quite well known, but still widely consumed: soft drinks and sugary beverages. Even so, many people still underestimate the real impact these drinks have on diabetes. When you consume a soft drink, an industrially sweetened tea, a boxed juice, or any beverage rich in sugar, what happens in your body is almost immediate. Glucose quickly enters the bloodstream, causing sharp spikes in blood sugar. Unlike solid foods, these drinks do not require complex digestion, which makes absorption extremely fast and aggressive for those with diabetes. Have you ever noticed how, shortly after consuming one of these drinks, your blood sugar spikes? Furthermore, these drinks offer virtually no nutritional value. They have no fiber, no protein, no relevant vitamins, and do not promote satiety. In other words, you consume many empty calories, raise your glucose levels, and shortly afterward, you feel hungry again. It's a dangerous cycle that makes glycemic control difficult and increases insulin, resistance over time. Many believe that swapping regular soda for natural versions, homemade refreshments, or sweetened drinks solves the problem. But that's not always the case. The sugar is still there, just disguised. And the body doesn't make a distinction. It responds the same way. What you'll realize throughout this video is that this type of drink is usually just the beginning of a much bigger problem. Before continuing, let me ask you something quick. If this content is useful to you, please subscribe to the channel and like the video. This greatly helps the channel too. Continue bringing clear and important information about health and diabetes to more people. 9. White breads and refined pastries. Now, let's move on to the next food on the list, which many people consume every day without imagining the impact it causes. White bread and refined pasta. French bread, regular sliced bread, traditional pasta, lasagna, pizza. All of this passes through the body very quickly. These foods have almost no fiber and are made with refined flour, which causes them to be digested quickly and turn into glucose in a short time. The problem is that this accelerated digestion causes almost instantaneous increases in blood sugar. For people with diabetes, this means frequent glycemic spikes, difficulty controlling blood sugar, and a greater burden on the body. Often, the person doesn't eat any sweets, but consumes bread or pasta at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, without realizing that the effect on the body is very similar. Another important point is that these foods are not filling. Shortly after consuming refined breads and pasta, hunger returns, leading to more consumption and new glucose spikes. It's a silent, common, and extremely harmful cycle for those living with diabetes. And the most worrying thing is that these foods are seen as normal when, in fact, they deserve a lot of attention. 8. Food number 8. Sweets, cakes, and desserts. Now we come to a group of foods that almost everyone has heard is bad for people with diabetes, but that still appear frequently in everyday life. Sweets, cakes, and desserts. The big problem here is the extremely harmful combination of excess sugar with refined white flour. This mixture causes blood glucose to rise very quickly and to high levels, making glycemic control very difficult. In addition to sugar spikes, these foods offer virtually no important nutrients and do not promote satiety. In other words, shortly after consuming a sweet or dessert, hunger returns, and along with it comes the desire to repeat. For those living with diabetes, this cycle can become a major obstacle in controlling the disease. Now, tell me in the comments, which of these foods is the hardest to avoid in your daily life? This exchange of experiences helps many people who are going through the same challenge. Food number 7, processed juices and some natural juices. Now, it's time to talk about processed juices and even some natural juices, which many people consume believing they are making a healthy choice. The problem is that, even when there is no added sugar, these juices concentrate large amounts of fructose. Without the fiber of the whole fruit, the sugar is quickly absorbed by the body, significantly raising blood glucose. For those with diabetes, this effect can be as harmful as that of a sweetened beverage. The feeling of consuming something natural ends up masking the real impact on blood glucose. That's why this type of beverage requires attention, even when it seems harmless on the label or in taste. Food number 6, breakfast cereals and fitness bars. Now, let's talk about a group of foods that deceives many people. Breakfast cereals and bars called fitness. They are often advertised as healthy, practical, and ideal options for those who want to take care of their diet. But the reality is usually quite different. Many of these products hide large amounts of sugar, syrups, and refined carbohydrates, which raise glucose levels rapidly. For people with diabetes, frequent consumption of these foods can make glycemic control difficult without the person realizing it. The taste isn't that sweet. The packaging looks healthy, but the effect on the body is similar to that of a common candy. Therefore, it is essential to look beyond the advertising and understand what is really being consumed. Food number 5, French fries and breaded foods. Now, we enter a very popular food group, present in snacks, fast food, and restaurants, but which requires a lot of attention from people with diabetes. French fries and breaded foods, in addition to being rich in carbohydrates. These foods undergo processes that further increase the impact on blood glucose. When fried, potatoes rapidly raise blood sugar, and breading adds refined flour, creating an even more harmful combination. Another important point is the fat used in preparation. Often, these are reused or low-quality oils, which increase inflammation in the body and promote insulin resistance. For those living with diabetes, this combination of factors makes glycemic control difficult and can have long-term consequences, even when consumption seems occasional. Number Y, white rice. Now, let's talk about a food that is extremely common on most people's tables. Hisi. It is one of the most consumed foods daily, but also one of the biggest contributors to high blood glucose levels, especially for people with diabetes. This happens because white rice undergoes a refining process that removes fiber and important nutrients, causing it to be quickly digested and converted into sugar in the body. The problem is that, because it is considered a basic food, many people consume white rice in large quantities, sometimes in more than one meal a day. This frequent consumption favors constant glycemic spikes, making it difficult to control diabetes. Even without a sweet taste, the effect on the body can be very similar to that of sugary foods, which makes this food even more dangerous when there is no awareness of its real impact. Before revealing the 3 most dangerous foods on this list, I want to ask you something very important. If this content is helping you better understand how certain foods affect your glucose, take this opportunity to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell. This way you won't miss any new content about health and diabetes, made to help you in your daily life. And leave a comment below as well. Tell me, so far, which of these foods surprised you the most, or which one did you not imagine had such an impact? Your participation helps the channel reach more people who also need this information. Now pay attention, because from now on the list gets even more serious. The next 3 foods are the most deceptive, the most consumed, and the ones that most harm blood glucose control without most people realizing it. Food number 3, fast food. Now, we enter the most critical part of the list, starting with food number 3, fast food. This type of food combines everything that most harms those with diabetes: refined carbohydrates, bad fats, and excess sodium. Hamburgers, pizzas, savory snacks, and ready-made combos seem convenient, but they have a huge impact on blood sugar. Carbohydrates quickly raise blood sugar, while poor quality fats increase inflammation and hinder the action of insulin. The result is glycemic imbalance that can last for hours, even when the meal seems small. Food number 2, ultra-processed products. Next, we come to food number 2, ultra-processed products. This includes filled cookies, chips, frozen foods, processed meats, and many ready-made everyday foods. These products undergo so many industrial processes that they lose important nutrients and gain additives, hidden sugared carbohydrate. For those with diabetes, frequent consumption of these foods directly affects blood sugar control and harms overall metabolic health. Danger lies in their convenience. They are easy, quick, and seem harmless, but the impact is silent and constant. Food number 1, sugar disguised on labels. And finally, we arrive at food number 1, the most dangerous of all, sugar disguised on labels. It appears under different names, such as corn syrup, maltodextrin, dextrose, fructose, among many others. This is the biggest villain because it hides in foods that don't even look sweet, deceiving those who try to take care of their diet. The body recognizes all these names as sugar, and the effect on blood glucose is immediate. Therefore, understanding labels and recognizing these disguises is a fundamental step for those who really want to control diabetes and protect their own health. If you've made it this far, it's because this content made sense to you on some level. And that's exactly the goal of the channel, to bring clear, practical information that really helps in the daily lives of those living with diabetes. So, if this video helped you see food in a different way, consider subscribing to the channel to continue receiving this type of content. Always straight to the point and without complication. Also, leave a comment below writing "This message was for me." That way I know you stayed until the end and that this content really spoke to you. And if, throughout the video, you felt that this conversation made sense, the like comes naturally. It helps the channel continue delivering quality information to more people. And before you leave, take a look at the video that's appearing here on the side. It complements this topic exactly and can help you even more too. Understand how to take better care of your health. Click there and continue with me there.